So I walk into Juilliard at 16 years old, my hair is down on my butt, right? And I just heard the record changed my life that came out that week, and I'll never forget it. It was Van Halen 1. Wow! I heard Eddie Van Halen, I was like, man, I want to play like him on my viola. What's the big deal, right? Piece of cake, right? So, man, I can do this. And I walked into my 70-year-old European viola teacher, and he looked me up and down, and he said, okay, let's start practicing Schubert. I said, wait, before we do that, you've got to check this guitar player out, because I want to play like him. He said, what? You're not going to play that garbage. That is not music, blah, 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 you know, the cliche. You're going to be the greatest, because he picked me as his student to become the great viola player, the principal viola player of the New York Philharmonic. They were priming me for 5 years. I was going to be in the New York Philharmonic, one of the greatest symphony orchestras in the world. And it would have been an honor to do that, but I didn't like to wear tuxes. I don't even own a suit. I ain't going to wear that. I'll wear my red leather pants and my sneakers, and if you don't like it, then it's not going to work out. And of course, it didn't work out, so I lasted about 2 years of him torturing me, thinking, you know what? I'm going to bang this rock and roll out of this kid. He's not going to love rock and roll after I finish with him. And unfortunately, the opposite happened. So I got more defiant, and then I am going to pursue my dreams. I don't care what they say. And I moved back home, slept on my dad's art studio's concrete floor, no heat, no electricity. Actually, there was electricity, no bathroom, no shower, but the girls loved it. Because my father's artwork was all over the place. The smell of turpentine and oil paint was all around. And I grew up watching him take a blank canvas and turn it into beautiful artwork. I was like, well, music is the same way, but as a classical musician, I didn't know how to improvise or write my own music. So my dad, watching him start in the morning with a blank canvas, by the end of the day, he had a worker party. So that was my inspiration, and of course my mom gave me the classical pedigree that enabled me to play properly. So mixing the two, and I started building electric violins when I was 10 years old, and I turned into all these instruments right here. And as a viola player, I decided I need to have an instrument that's self-supporting, because the chin or shoulder pad, I don't know, it was a combination of a couple of things. When I saw Jimmy Page play the guitar, his guitar is way down here, and he's swinging it, and he's got this beautiful ballet relationship with the guitar. Hendrix, watching Hendrix play, there's a physical relationship. String players tend to be like this. You know, I was like, man, that doesn't look cool for some reason. It doesn't look relaxed. Don't even start with a comfort on that. You know, so I was like, you know what? Maybe I should. What can I do? So I figured out this. My Vipers are based on a tripod concept with 3 points of contact on it. So you know, it looks like a flying V. I know, but the Flying V stole it from us. We're violin players. We should have a V violin, right? So, but the 3 points of contact, and my first electric violin, actually my first couple of ones were not playable, but they looked really cool. And I was the first person in history, and again, Les Paul was inspiring me too. I was the first person in history to build a solid body electric violin in 1970 when I was 12 years old. First person to do 5-string, 6-string, 7-string, and also frets on a violin. So I really was forging ahead. I built a double neck violin. I've got a violin. If you go to my website, you'll see these instruments. I've got a violin with a human hand that rests against my chest. If you can picture this. A knife going through the forearm that the strings are attached to. It's called the violent. And for 10 years, that was my main instrument, and everybody flipped when they saw it. They couldn't understand it. Of course, for some odd reason, I had to keep the knife really sharp, which was by my 4M. And the one story that I love to tell people when they ask me, what was the most horrifying thing to ever happen to you on stage? In front of 3,000 people at the Agora in Cleveland, 1981, I do my solo. The spotlight follows me up the balcony, right? I have wireless, and I'm real crazy. I turn around and I fall. I tumble down the stairs. I cut my arm. Gosh, I'm really into cutting my hand. I'm really not like that. And it was just a mess. And I struggled onto the stage, grabbed another violin, But I'll never forget thinking, Mark, why are you just doing these crazy things with violins? And it really fueled my inspiration and perseverance to really create something different. I've got a violin with a barrel at the end of it that shoots bottle rockets. That's really cool. I got a double neck violin. It has 2 necks, and it was out of my parents' old tripod. You know, like a camera tripod like that. It works on a mechanism of a pivot. If you go on YouTube, you can see these instruments. Very proud, but for the longest time, I was determined that I'm going to be the only person with my instruments. I'm not going to build them for anybody. It's just going to be me. Of course, I finally got smart after people say, Mark, I would love one of your instruments. Here's $10,000. Build me your instruments. I said, okay, so I did 1 by 1 per year. And then you accelerate 20 years later. I'm standing in front of you people sharing an amazing story that I really am proud of. And have this wonderful music store showcasing my instruments and really supporting truly a revolutionary opportunity that historically has never happened in the string industry ever, where you have a player and a performer guiding the technology of electric strings. And the string industry is really, really, unfortunately, in its infancy, where we've been repeating the same thing for 400 years. We have not changed it, which I'm very proud of, because we have Stradivariuses, we have Paganini, we have Mozart and Beethoven. No guitar player can say that. We've got the guitar players beat on the historical aspects of our tremendous history, but then the guitar players, within 3 years of Woodstock and Hendrix playing, the entire music market changed because of Jimi Hendrix, Zappa, and all these great guitar players. It was mind-blowing to see the shift of, within a couple of years, the guitar came from an accompaniment instrument into the most life-changing instrument when you had it in Hendrix's hands. So that was all inspiration, and within a period of time, and first time in history, you've got someone like me who's absorbing Paganini, absorbing Jimi Hendrix and Van Halen. Wow, man, am I lucky? Wow, totally freaking me out that I can do what I do. And I can play 6 to 7 hours a day without fatiguing. And I've got 7 strings on this thing. So let me just give you a little demonstration of the sounds of this that I really love. Because what is fun about this instrument, it's got 7 strings on. So I've got violin, viola, cello, and bass. So I'm able to really create we can do everything from